Hi, I'm Dave Eckhardt, and my passion is From the Heart. I'm founder and president of From the Heart. We are officially a 501c3 corporation, which when we started this, who'd ever thought that would have happened? Originally started to benefit 6 groups. And originally the 6 groups had to rotate out because the event was small. I was on the boards of several of these groups. And one of the things that used to always bug me is they would apply for grants here and there, and those grants would be restricted. They could only be used for this project, or they could only be used for that. They could never be used for administrative purposes. And I was like, you know what, that's not right. Every one of these groups has to have an administrator. And if they don't have an administrator, they're not going to be able to function. So when we created From the Heart, one of the things that we said was these funds can be used whatever they want to. They're not restricted in any way, shape, or form. And it's been that way since the beginning. So that has not changed over the 15 years that we've had it. So now we're up to 8 groups. So in year 3, after year 3, we lost a group. And so when we lost the group, it was like, okay, now who are we going to add? Well, we had a couple presentations in Rotary that kind of tugged at some strings. And instead of adding 1 group, we ended up with 3, so we went from 6 to 8 groups, and that's where we're at today. The 8 recipients are Shining Star, Rochelle Christian Food Pantry, Hope, Hub City Senior Center, Pegasus, CASA, Rochelle Area Community Foundation, and Focus House. The idea for From the Heart really came out of my wife and I going over to Oregon to the Angel Ball. And the Angel Ball, we went several years, and it's around Christmas. It's the first, I think it's the first Friday in December, if I remember right. And we would go to that event every year, and we really had a good time. And I would always go over there and say, you know, if they can do this in Oregon, we ought to be able to do something like this in Rochelle. So that's kind of where the whole idea got started. Basically, our event it's a black tie optional event. You come, you walk through the door. We typically give away wine glasses every year. And then in that wine glass, you get champagne if you want some. If you don't, that's quite all right. And then there's name cards with where your table setting is. And you just go to that table once you get into the building. So that's where your seating for the night is. And then we have a silent auction area where you can go and bid. There's a live auction that happens about halfway through the night. And then there's games. And there's everything from raffle games to guess how many corks there are, to a card game where you rip off half the card and keep half the card to win a Yeti cooler. Trying to think of some other things that we've done. We've had a treasure chest game in the past. We have a centerpiece game that we've had since the beginning. The centerpiece game is our biggest game donation of the night. So that one's always been a big one for us. And we try to, we split the centerpiece business so it's more than one company providing the flowers, and it's worked out very, very well for us. So that pretty much covers it, I think. We try to generate lots of 10s and 20s during the night, and once we get to the big ticket items and the live auction, it just, the rest of it all just comes to come together. So we tried to create something just a little different. The Angel Ball was very formal, very laid back, if you will. I mean, there's not a bunch of games there and that sort of thing. We wanted to create something that would be a fun experience for people to come to, something that they would want to come back to. So one of the things that we go out of our way to do is to try and create different games every year, something new, something that changes the flavor of what we do, because if it's the same old thing year after year, people just kind of get tired of that. So we try to make sure that we keep it fresh. Now, granted, some of the things have been the same since the beginning, but they work. So that's the reason we continue to do it the way we do it. So if something we're doing isn't working, we'll take it out and put something else in its place. So that's kind of how it's all come together, so to speak. So the reason I'm really passionate about From the Heart is that I get to benefit 8 organizations. I can't do that on my own. I mean, I don't have the ability to give $1,000 to 8 of those organizations, much less give them a check for 10 grand, which is like totally incredible that we made it to $80,000 this year. So to me, the coolest thing ever since the beginning of this event has been when I go to give those groups their money. And that is the biggest reason, bar none, since the beginning. That's been the key motivational point, if you will, of keeping From the Heart going and getting to where we've gotten. So it's pretty cool. My favorite part of From the Heart is the event itself. The night of, I mean, you know, everything, we work really, really hard to get to that point, and then you're there and it happens, and it's so cool. And probably reaching our goal is the ultimate. I mean, we've just been so blessed with being able to generate as much money as we have. So we raised $80,000 this year, which takes our grand total over 15 years up to $710,000 that we've raised, which is pretty amazing. We added a couple of new businesses in town, which became sponsors, which was really huge for us, which added a couple of tables to the event that we didn't have in the past. So that obviously brought in 16 more people, and our number this year was 300. That's the most we've ever had. We had 37 tables, which was the most we've ever had. And that's about the max we're going to be able to get in that room. So we know we got our work cut out for us for next year, because the bar's set pretty high now, and to get back to that level, it's going to take some work. So it was really funny. I had an interview the other day with Jeff Leone at the radio station. He says, "I'll bet there's never been a group in Rochelle that's ever raised $80,000. And I said, "You know what? I never thought about that. It's never even crossed my mind." And I said, "You're probably right." I mean, I can't put my finger on it, but he's probably right. Well, I hope we continue to hold our own. I mean, I know that doesn't sound like a very lofty goal, but for a community of this size to generate $80,000 is a big deal, a big deal. And to keep that momentum up is going to take some work. And, you know, hopefully we're up to it. And, you know, I hope we can grow our event. I hope we can add another group to our group. And because of the fact that we're able to get, so maybe our goal for next year should be $90,000, and we bring somebody else in and get them $10,000 too. That would be great. We'll just have to see how all that stuff works out, but hopefully we can keep the momentum going. That's really the key. So, and calendar sales, and there's probably something I didn't mention, is calendar sales are a big part of our total funding. We got we got close to $50,000 from the night of the event. So the other 30 is coming from calendar side of the equation. Just in rough numbers, those aren't exact numbers because we still don't have our final numbers for the night in, but it's gonna be close to 50, and we know we've got where we were in calendar sales, so we know we're safe being where we're at. But those calendar sales are huge. The city, Jeff Fagenschuh and the mayor have just been a huge part of helping us sell those calendars, and without that, we would not be where we're at today with the numbers, because obviously to get to 80, we needed the 50 from the event and the 30 from the calendars to make it happen. So those calendar sales are very important to us. So, speaking about Rochelle, it doesn't matter if it's from the heart, if it's money to raise money for somebody who's sick, ill, anything like that. This community has such a huge heart, and they are so generous. And I don't care who it is, people step up, and it's very amazing. It's why we love living in the community we live in. So if anyone wants to get involved in From the Heart, they can get a hold of me at 815-562-2200.